Today, when people imagine ancient life, they often picture men doing the hard work. Men hunting, men carrying spears, men fighting wild animals, men dragging meat back to camp. And yes, hunting was dangerous. It was difficult. It required courage, strength, patience, and teamwork. But here's the question most people forget. Did ancient women work harder than men? At first, this sounds like a simple question. But the answer is not simple. Because ancient survival was not only about hunting. It was also about gathering food, keeping children alive, preparing meals, making clothing, keeping the fire burning, carrying babies, finding water, repairing shelters, cleaning skins, making baskets, remembering plants, and doing the same work again and again every day. So maybe the real question is not who worked harder. Maybe the real question is, what kind of work kept ancient humans alive? For a long time, people imagined prehistoric men as the main providers, the hunters, the heroes, the strong ones, the ones who brought food. But ancient life was more balanced than that. A group could not survive on one big hunt alone. Sometimes hunters came back with meat. Sometimes they came back with nothing. Sometimes animals escaped. Sometimes the weather was bad. Sometimes hunters got injured. Sometimes the hunt took days. So what happened when there was no meat? The group still had to eat. Children still got hungry. Pregnant women still needed food. Old people still needed care. Babies still needed milk. This is where women's work became extremely important. In many hunter-gatherer groups, women gathered plants, roots, berries, nuts, seeds, fruits, shellfish, eggs, honey, and small animals. This food may not look dramatic, but it was reliable. A large animal hunt could fail, but a skilled gatherer could often find something useful. A basket of roots could feed children. A handful of nuts could provide energy. Berries could be eaten quickly. Seeds could be saved. Plants could become food, medicine, cord, baskets, or bedding. Ancient women were not just picking random leaves. They needed deep knowledge. Which plant is safe? Which berry is poisonous? Which root needs cooking? Which mushroom can kill? Which leaf can help a wound? Which plant can soothe pain? Which season brings which food? Where does this root grow? When is this fruit ready? What can a child eat? What can a sick person eat? This was not easy work. This was survival science. But it was not written in books. It lived in memory. A young girl learned by watching her mother. A young mother learned from older women. A grandmother remembered what happened in past seasons. This knowledge could save the whole group. One mistake could poison someone. One correct memory could keep people alive. So when we talk about ancient work, we must not only think about muscles, we must also think about knowledge. Women's work often required both. They walked long distances. They bent down to dig roots. They carried baskets full of food. They carried babies. They collected firewood. They brought water. They prepared food. They processed animal skins. They repaired clothing. They watched children. They kept the camp running. And many times, they did several jobs at once. Imagine an ancient woman. She has a baby tied to her body. She is gathering roots. She's watching another child nearby. She's carrying a basket. She's looking for edible plants. She is staying alert for snakes or animals. She's thinking about the fire back at camp. She is remembering which plant made someone sick last time. That is not easy work. That is mental work, physical work, emotional work, and survival work. Now think about ancient men. Their work was also hard. Hunting large animals could be extremely dangerous. A wounded animal could kill a hunter. A fall could break a bone. A spear could miss. A predator could attack. A storm could trap the hunting group. Hunters needed skill. They had to track footprints, read the wind, move quietly, understand animal behavior, work as a team, use weapons, stay patient, take risks. Sometimes hunting gave the group a huge reward. Meat, fat, bones, skin, tendons, tools, warm clothing, food for many people. So ancient men's work was not easy either. It could be deadly. But the difference is this. Hunting was often high risk and high reward. Women's daily work was often constant, repeated, and never finished. A hunt might happen, then end, but babies still needed care every day. Food still needed gathering every day. Fire still needed attention every day. Clothing still needed repair every day. Water still needed carrying every day. Children still needed watching every day. So ancient women may not always have had the most dramatic work, but they often had the most continuous work. There was another important factor: pregnancy. Ancient women worked while pregnant. There was no maternity leave, no hospital checkups, no comfortable modern bed, no safe kitchen, no easy food delivery. A pregnant woman still had to move, still had to eat, still had to gather, still had to help the group, still had to care for children. And after giving birth, the work did not stop for long. A newborn baby needed milk, warmth, protection, cleaning, constant attention. The mother's body had to recover. But the ancient world did not wait. There were still fires to keep alive, children to protect, food to prepare, shelters to maintain. This means ancient women often carried a double burden: their own survival and the survival of children. That is a heavy responsibility. A baby could not walk, could not run, could not find food, could not stay warm alone, could not escape danger. If the mother failed, the baby could die. If the group failed to support the mother, the baby could die. So caring for babies was not soft work. It was one of the hardest jobs in human history. Ancient women also turned raw material into useful things. An animal's skin was not automatically clothing. It had to be scraped, cleaned, stretched, dried, softened, cut, tied, repaired. A plant fiber was not automatically rope. It had to be collected, twisted, braided, dried, used carefully. A basket was not bought from a market. It had to be woven by hand. A carrying bag had to be made. A sleeping mat had to be prepared. A baby wrap had to be created. Food had to be processed before it could be eaten. Roots might need cooking. Seeds might need grinding. Meat might need drying. Bones might need cracking. Plants might need sorting. Ancient women's work often transformed the world. Plants became meals. Skins became clothing. Fibers became cord. Fire became warmth. Knowledge became survival. Children became future adults. That is powerful. But was women's work harder than men's work? The honest answer is, it depends. It depends on the group, the climate, the season, the food supply, the animals nearby, the number of children, the dangers around them, the age of the people, and the skills each person had. In some groups, men may have taken the biggest physical risks. In some groups, women may have done more daily labor. In some groups, both men and women hunted. In some groups, both gathered. In some groups, older people played a huge role. In some groups, children helped too. Ancient life was flexible. People did what helped the group survive. The idea that men only hunted and women only stayed home is too simple. There was no modern home. There was no office. There was no weekend. There was no easy separation between work and life. Everything was survival. Cooking was survival. Childcare was survival. Hunting was survival. Gathering was survival. Firekeeping was survival. Tool making was survival. Healing was survival. Teaching was survival. And because survival depended on everyone, every role mattered. But there is one important truth. Women's work has often been underestimated. Why? Because it was daily. Because it happened near camp. Because it involved children. Because it looked ordinary. Because it did not always involve dramatic weapons. Because history often celebrates the hunt more than the meal. But without meals, there is no life. Without mothers, there is no next generation. Without firekeepers, there is no warm camp. Without gatherers, failed hunts become starvation. Without skin workers, there is no clothing. Without plant knowledge, there is no medicine. Without childcare, the group has no future. So if ancient women did not work harder than men in every way, they certainly worked just as seriously. Their labor was not small. Their labor was not weak. Their labor was not background work. It was the quiet engine of survival. Imagine a day in the ancient world. At sunrise, a woman wakes up near the fire. A baby moves beside her. Another child is already hungry. The fire needs more wood. The skins are damp. The group needs food. A basket needs repair. Someone is sick. Water must be brought. Plants must be found before the heat of the day. A child must be watched near the river. Food must be cooked before dark. The fire must not die. Night will come again, and tomorrow it begins again. That is hard work, not one heroic moment, but thousands of small acts of survival. Now imagine the men returning from a hunt. If they bring meat, the whole camp benefits.
But then more work begins.
The animal must be cut.
The meat must be cooked. The fat must be saved. The bones must be used.
The skin must be cleaned.
The leftovers must be protected from animals. The food must be shared. The reward of hunting created more work for everyone. So ancient life was not a competition between men and women. It was a system, a living system. If one part failed, everyone suffered. If hunters failed, gatherers mattered more.
If gatherers failed, hunger grew.
If mothers failed, babies died.
If firekeepers failed,
cold came. If elders failed to teach, knowledge disappeared.
If children did not learn,
the future weakened. So who worked harder?
Maybe men worked harder in moments of danger.
Maybe women worked harder in the endless rhythm of daily life. Maybe both carried different kinds of weight.
Men often carried spears.
Women often carried babies,
food,
water, memory,
and the future.
Both were heavy.
But if we look closely,
ancient women were not simply waiting while men did the real work.
They were working constantly.
They fed the group.
They protected children. They kept knowledge alive.
They prepared materials. They helped create shelter. They made food useful.
They made life possible.
And sometimes
they probably hunted too.
Human survival was never only a man's story.
It was a human story.
And ancient women were at the center of it. So did ancient women work harder than men? The safest answer is this. Ancient men and women both worked hard.
But women's work was often longer,
more constant,
and more connected to daily survival than many people realize.
The hunt may have looked more dramatic, but the camp, the children, the food, the fire, and the future were also hard work. And without ancient women doing that work, humanity would not have survived. So maybe the real lesson is not who worked harder. The real lesson is this. Ancient survival was built by everyone, but ancient women carry far more of that survival than history usually remembers.